everyone, and welcome to In Bed with Brooke, episode 12. So in episode 11, we ended in the middle of chapter 5, so now I'm going to pick up where we left off and set my little handy timer here so I don't keep you guys too long. And ready? Here we go. What about your real father, Alex wondered. Was he ever in your life? Slater shook his head. I never knew him. The only thing I know about him is the fact that he's dead. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Slater continued. On my 18th birthday, I packed my things in one bag and left. I didn't go to school. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just left. And no one ever tried to find you? He shrugged. I don't know if they tried, but they've never tracked me down. I was more trouble than my mom could handle, and no doubt every time she looked at me, she saw my real father. So I never caused her anything but pain and disappointment. Why do you say that? Because she loved him, and I couldn't measure up to the hero that he was in her eyes. She always told me to watch my mouth, and everything I did or didn't do was always compared to him. Your father wouldn't like that, or your father would be so disappointed in you. I lived in his damn shadow, and he wasn't even there. He got himself shot in a bar fight because he mouthed off to the wrong person, but she thought he was perfect. Maybe she told you to watch your mouth because she was afraid the same things would happen to you, Alex suggested softly. Maybe. They looked at each other for a few moments, both silent. The energy in the room was heavy with emotion. She understood him. He knew she did. He never shared that information with anyone. That's a sad story, Slater. Really sad. I'm sorry life was that way for you. Well, it sounds like we both had our reasons for wanting something better out of life. He studied her as she nodded, and her eyes glistened with tears. Don't cry for me, Alex. I'm sorry, she exclaimed, holding in her sadness. I'm an emotional person. It's how the feelings come out of me. Happy, sad, angry, it's always in the form of tears. I wish there was something I could do to make your childhood happier. Standing up to shift the mood, he suggested, you can have a shot with me. Without waiting for a response, he walked into the kitchen, knowing she had a bottle of Beam in the freezer, and reappeared with the bottle and shot glasses. Why do you have this? He wondered. Do you like this stuff? Sometimes I like it, she answered. She shifted to her knees as he set the bottle on the table and wiped the moisture from her eyes. I haven't had it in a long time. He poured 2 shots and handed her one. Holding his up, she did the same as he toasted, to your Academy Award. And to you selling out stadiums all over the world. Her stomach did a little flip as a large grin spread across his face. I'll drink to that. They both threw back the shot at the same time. Slater was waiting for the shudder that girls usually made after a shot and was pleasantly surprised when Alex leaned her head back on a throaty sound. Alex murmured, tilting her head back while the fiery liquid soothed her throat. What are you doing? She asked as Slater poured another round. Have another, it will help you sleep. He handed her the glass. They clinked shot glasses and drank again as Alex let out another sigh of appreciation. Slater liked that sound. Alex surprised him and grabbed the bottle to pour another round. She slid him his glass and raised hers. I thought of another toast. To you having a shower close by when you're on tour. I predict you'll have plenty of stinky gigs. She waited for him to tap his glass to hers and giggled at the thought. Cheers. Slater nodded and snorted on a laugh as they drank. She poured again and surprised him, and one for the road. They tapped glasses and drank again. Wait a minute, she said suddenly, her brow furrowed as she ran her thumb along her lower lip to remove excess whiskey. Slater cleared his throat when she absently sucked on the tip of her thumb. What's that? How many was that? 4? Came his reluctant response. He didn't want her to think he was trying to get her drunk. Oh no, we have to do one more to make it 5. Always up for another one, he slid his glass across the coffee table to her. Why 5? He was curious. Not telling. Alex shook her head quickly. You'll think I'm weird. Snatching the bottle out of her hands and holding it close to him, he demanded, spill or I won't pour. Feeling the blush on her cheeks, Alex took a deep breath and explained her thought. Okay, 5 is my favorite number. It's the even of the odd numbers, and things have to be done in increments of the number 5 or it bothers me. He was grinning at her, interested, so she rambled on. Like the volume on the TV, it's numbered when you turn it up or down, and if it's between 10 or 15 or 15 or 20 and so on, it drives me crazy. So we have to do the 5th shot, so it's even. She covered her face with her hands and shook her head in embarrassment. You think I'm weird, don't you? He shook his head and gazed at her with amusement. I think you're adorable. Thank you, she said, beaming at him. The alcohol made her eyes twinkle. He poured the last shots and held up his glass. To you, Alex. Good luck in everything you do. Well said. Same to you. They clicked and threw it back. Okay, she stated firmly, standing up and pausing for a moment to center herself. I'm going to try to get some sleep, but first, I want to put Oscar to bed. Oscar? Gently picking up the Academy Award, she shook it lightly. Oscar. She walked over to the shelf that it was kept on, ran her hand over it lovingly, and said to the statue, "Good night, my love. One day you'll be mine." With a soft kiss to its head, Oscar was placed back on the shelf. He watched her do this little ritual and thought she was perhaps the most amazing person he had ever met. His eyes followed her as she walked to him and stopped in front of him. "Stand up," Alex ordered. He stood up, and she held out her arms for a hug. Seeing that he was surprised, she wasn't budging until he hugged her, and she stood before him with her arms out, waiting. He hesitated for a moment. The only kind of body contact he had with people was either handshakes or sex. Never hugs. They were more personal. Putting his arms around her, she hugged him tightly. He breathed deeply as he embraced her, reveling in the realization that she felt good. It felt good to be close to someone like this. His arms felt perfect around her. They felt strong and safe. Alex rested her head against his shoulder, letting the hug linger while Slater rested his head against her and enjoyed the feel of her against him. "What's this for?" he asked, still hugging her. "I have a feeling you could have used a lot more of these in your life." "I know I could have. My grandma handed them out freely. My parents, not so much." He didn't trust his voice to talk, so he nodded his head. His heart was racing, and it was starting to slowly unlock. Giving him a final squeeze, Alex stepped back. "Good night, Slater." "Good night, Alex," he answered in a raspy voice. She fell into bed and was asleep immediately. He went to bed and stared at the ceiling, wondering what the hell just happened to his heart. So that is the end of chapter 5. So that is where we will stop for episode 12. So I hope everyone is liking this read of Set It Free so far. I'm having fun reading it to you. It's really awesome to go back and just enjoy their journey from the first moment. I'm so deep into the series with what I've written so far that I tend to forget these small little moments and these little, like their first hug and their first getting to know you moment where they're talking to each other, you know, in the middle of the night after he gets back from the gig and taking that trip down memory lane. And, you know, you start to see the cracks in the fact that Alex isn't close to her parents and Slater really had an unhappy childhood. And there's a quote, and I forget who the author of this quote is, but it is, maybe she needed someone to show her how to live, and maybe he needed someone to show him how to love. And that really just sums up this book a lot. This is my baby. This is book number 1. There's still a lot more to come. I thank you so much for watching this. Please like the video. Please share it with your friends. Please leave a positive comment, and I'll leave a post in the comment on where you can purchase both Set It Free and Let It Go. Thanks again for watching, guys. Bye.